Okay, so recently I've had a number of people ask me how to play the guitar. Uh, there's so many different ways to answer that question, so I thought I'd make a couple quick videos to give people the basics. Number one, if you just pick up the guitar and learn some notes, what you're going to find really fast is you're not learning to play the guitar, you're learning to play a song. So many people have different ideas of what they think is good music. I don't think that's a very good route to go. So I'm going to show you guys something a little different. This is for a group of friends that I have that want to learn. They all want to come over at different times, and so I think it's just much easier just to do it over a video. So the first thing that I want to show everybody is it's very, very simple. This is going to be a really basic overview of music theory, but frankly, if you have this down, you will be able to really play any stringed instrument across the board for the rest of your life. So it's a really powerful tool, and I think everybody should have. So we're just going to go over this as fast as possible. One of the big things I found is when you look into music theory, is there's so much information that you get overwhelmed and it feels too hard to do, so you just kind of give up and never really try. So we're going to cut out a lot of the bulky stuff and really get down to the basics. And frankly, if you have this down, then it's just a matter of how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. So the first thing is you really need to understand is that there are 7 notes. Those notes are very simple. It's A, B, C, D, E, F. Sorry, my F's are backwards, and G. The next thing you want to know is that there are also sharps and flats. So there are sharps, which look like that, and flats. Every note, a sharp and flat is between whole notes. As you're going to tune, a guitar, you'll notice that it takes a bit of distance to get to that next note. So between that, there are what are called half notes. And those half notes are called sharps and flats. And something somebody never told me or I wasn't paying attention, is a sharp and a flat is exactly the same thing. They are just happen to be on the direction you're going. For instance, in A, it goes A and then A sharp and then B. But if we go the other direction, it's B, B flat, then A. Making sense? All right, so in between every note, there are sharps and flats. Now, when I say that, any real musician is right now losing their mind when I say that there's sharps and flats in between every note. And the reason why they'd be losing their mind is because there are 2 notes that do not have sharps and flats in between them. So those 2 notes is the B does not have a sharp and the E does not have a sharp. But because that note doesn't exist, that means C does not have a flat and the F doesn't have a flat. And really, for me, the way I find it's much easier to remember is as the sharps, is the B and the E do not have sharps. Well, if you look at a B and E, they're both shaped the same freaking way, basically. Sorry for that. So, so that might be an easy way to remember that the B and the E do not have a sharp and a flat. So the first thing I want to look at is, as you notice, it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B. It just keeps on, just keeps repeating itself. When it gets to the next A, that's a different octave. The 2 A's are the same note, but they'll sound slightly different. So the first thing I want to show anybody, I think the first thing you'd want to learn would be the A minor scale. The A minor scale is one of the easiest scales to learn when you're first starting out. So that's the one we're going to start with. So one thing to know is that the A minor scale does not have any sharps or flats in it. So if we take out the A minor scale, the one thing you might notice rather quickly is that it looks an awful lot like piano. If I was to draw it a little better anyway. So it's a really ugly piano. So this gives you an idea of where all the notes are on a piano. So you have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. So if you look at, so we have where these two locations are, where it only has two dots, or sorry, two sharps or two flats, that we know directly after that on this opening area, that's the E. And same thing goes over here with your 3, you know that the one directly after that, that's a B. And if you can remember that, then you'll always remember the layout to a piano. Although, of course, I'm sure you're saying, well, that we're trying to learn the guitar, we're not trying to learn the piano. Piano is a really good visual representation of how the notes are laid out, so that we can later on move that to a guitar. So if you're reading, I don't know how much you guys remember of music notation. Forgive me if I adjust it a little bit. So the way I always like to remember it is face. F, A, C, E. Now it's face going backwards, I apologize. So, you know, yes, it's upside down, but if you can remember face, then you'll always know where the notes are on the notation and where they correspond to your keyboard. So, for instance, if I wanted to play an A, I'd have a dot down there, and right there is your A, or your other A there. And, you know, it keeps going, you know, even past the notations down below and above it. So, there's your A. If I wanted to play an A sharp, it would be an A plus a sharp. And, of course, that would be this guy here. And that's all there is to it. So if it was an E, you know, it would be there. It would be an E. If I wanted to play a G, which would be down here, so you see F, G, which comes after F, and then it starts back at A, then B is the line, then C is the opening, D, and so on and so on. So, we making sense so far? That is the basic layout of your keyboard to your notations. If you write it down and draw it out, it actually makes your life a whole lot easier to get a real basic understanding of this layout and how it works. So even though we are learning the guitar, we can write out notes, and I don't care, go online, look up Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and try to figure out where they are on the board. It's going to help you with the keyboard, because the keyboard, or the guitar, because the guitar does have the exact same layout as a piano. So that's going to be the first part. The next thing we're going to do is get into the pentatonic scale, or sorry, not the pentatonic scale, sorry, the major and minor scale. And again, it's going to be a super quick overview, so hopefully it'll be a video equally as fast.